Hello, hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, hold on. It's coming through. Okay, I can hear you now. Hi.
Hi, so great to see you.
You too. You too. You look fabulous as
Thank
always.
you. Thanks, you do too.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to speak to our investor group today. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have some people joining in as we're going, so I'll just be doing that. Would you like me to, I don't know if I need to share like the controls or anything if you have a PowerPoint.
I do. Yep. So if you'll give me the ability to share my screen.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, I think I did it.
Hello, everyone. If you can't be on video, that's okay. But if you can unmute yourself and say hi, it's nice to feel like we're not alone.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing?
Hello.
Good. Like we're having a coaching call.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Amanda. This is my first event. I guess I thought it was just like a one-time like training seminar or something. But I'm happy to be here, and I'm stuffing my face with food right now where I would turn on my camera. So when I'm done eating, I'll turn it on.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Hi, Amanda. Are you in Jacksonville or where are you located?
I'm just relocating down to Florida. I'm south of Jacksonville, about an hour right now.
Well, welcome.
All right, excellent.
Hi, Sarah. I'm Sadie. Thank you for presenting today. I'm like bundled up and guiltily like pajamas, and I hate this weather, so I won't be turning my camera on, but I'm definitely listening and will be engaging in the comments.
Excellent. Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah. Be ready, guys. I ask a lot of questions and I'll have you guys write in the comments and all that good stuff.
Awesome. I know it's actually cold in Florida today, so we're all like turtlenecks, boots, Uggs, all that.
I love it. Yeah, I guess there's a storm. I'm visiting my parents in Kansas City for Christmas, and I guess there's like a storm coming. And I'm like, well, I don't care. I don't need to leave the house. Excellent, excellent. Let's dive in. I love it when people show up on time, and this is for you guys. So I know we're a really small group today. You can unmute yourself, ask question in the chat. This is for you. This is not for me. So if you guys want to know anything or take the conversation any direction, I am game. I did create a presentation for you guys. That's fun and engaging and hopefully super helpful. And so, Yasha, is there anything that you want to dive into before I start?
Not really, other than thank you for coming today to speak to everyone. I hope that you guys take a lot of value out of today, because I have paid to, work with Sarah in the past. And so she does provide so much freaking value. It's ridiculous. And she has been a big part of my journey in investing and even long distance investing. And I am so grateful to have met her and have had her as a coach and just opening up my world to just all the connections that I've had. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I'd love to get to know you guys. Will you let me know in the chat, what does your portfolio look like? Are you just beginning? Do you own long-term rentals, medium-term rentals, short-term rentals? Do you do flips, house hacking, just anything? Let me know your experience. That way I can kind of speak to that as much as I can. Ah, nice. Oh, hey, Amanda. All right. Long-term rental, 7 doors, all of the above, just beginning, wants to do short-term rentals, 1 long-term near Kansas City. Amazing. And then own our primary, but no investments yet. Okay, excellent. This is super helpful. Today, we will be talking mostly about long distance investing. It does not mean that you cannot invest where you are, or what I'm going to cover doesn't apply, but I just wanted to give that as an option, especially as certain markets really start to make it really tough to make the numbers work. So everything I'm going to do today will apply to in-state investing. So don't think that you can't invest in your backyard. You should if you can. But if it's too difficult to do that, then we will talk about out-of-state investing as well. So, all right, without further ado, let me share my screen. And again, you guys can interrupt me, ask questions. You are not bothering me. I'm going to go into present mode, so I won't be able to see the chat. So if you'll monitor the chat for me, for some reason, I can't get it to open when I'm in present mode in Canva. But here we go. All right, out-of-state investing. So for me, my journey started, I was living in Denver, Colorado, which is an expensive city. And I bought my first property a few hundred miles away in Kansas City. And one thing I want to say before I begin is that every photo in my presentation is either a photo that I have taken or a photo my photographer has taken of my unit, which is just a humble way of saying, aren't I really good at decorating? So this is a photo of one of my furnished units in Omaha. If you had told me years ago that I would own Airbnbs in Omaha, Nebraska, I would say, why? But now I'm really excited because those Airbnbs have been the reason that I've been able to quit my job. And so let me know in the chat if your goal is to quit your job. Just give me the word quit. And then I'm going to actually join the call on my phone so I can watch the chat easier. How's that sound? Awesome. I see the chats coming in. I love it. I love it. All right. So, as she graciously said, I'm Sarah Weaver. I am a real estate coach and a real estate investor. And when I'm not jumping out of airplanes, I am traveling the world. I've been to, we need to update this. I've been to 46 countries on 6 continents now, and I own 19 rental units in 4 different states. I want it to be really clear. I don't own 50 units. I don't own 100 units. I own 19. And that is what it took for me to hit my financial independence number. And so for some of you, it might not take as many units as you think. I set out thinking that I had to have 42 units. That was the number in my head. And then when I got to about unit 16, I was like, holy cow, I have hit my goal. So really excited about that. And I'll share more about it. My goal is to live where I want and invest where the numbers make sense. This is truly my motto. And so I'm sure that there's at least someone in here that likes to travel. So let me know, have you been to any of the places in these photos? Have you been to, what do we got here? Thailand, Japan, Korea. I'm going to join without video and mute myself. Give me 1 second. All right, if you'll let me in, there we go.
Recording in progress.
Woo! Sorry, guys. All right, then I can monitor the chat. Perfect. So here I am jumping off of a crane in Colombia. I'm skiing in Colorado and beach hopping in Thailand. That is my why. That is why I invest in real estate. Is I've always wanted to travel. Travel has been a big part of the last 10 years of my life. And I'm so excited. At the end of this presentation, I will be inviting you guys on an epic adventure because now I own a travel company serving real estate investors to go on adventures all over the world. But first, we got to talk about real estate. So here's my timeline. I became location independent in 2015. And I thought, wow, this is it. This is what I wanted. Then in 2017, I bought my first investment property. As I told you, I was living in Denver, bought in Kansas City. And then, then it took another 2 years for me to buy my next property. So toward the end of this, it's going to sound like, wow, I bought a lot of real estate really, really fast. But I wanted to start showing you my timeline that it was pretty slow. I got into real estate in 2015. I didn't buy something until 2017. And then you'll see my timeline as we go on. And so the first thing I need to share with you guys is truly step one to out-of-state investing, which is you need two things. You need money. It doesn't have to be your money, but you need money and you need to have the right mindset. Yasha will tell you that we talk a lot about mindset. Actually, will you share something? What is something that you've learned from me regarding mindset when it comes to real estate investing?
That it's not as hard as you may think it is, because like once you actually like lay out all the steps, on paper, you're like, oh my God, it's really these, many steps, might be 5 or 7, you know what I mean? And that has been a big key, like, because you overplay these scenarios in your mind and it's really not that complicated, you guys.
Yes, I love that because I think that as humans, we are wired to see danger. And so therefore it's like, oh, this could go wrong. The contractor could screw us over. We could not find a tenant. Everything could cost more money. Where does the money come from? All of these worries are scientifically proven to keep us safe. But we all are here on what is today, Wednesday, spending our time, money, and energy to learn about real estate investing because I think we all know it's the ticket to financial freedom. And I can tell you with confidence that it is. And I'm so glad to hear you say that it's not that difficult. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 steps of out-of-state investing. And it really is that simple. So the first one is money and mindset. None of this is possible with a negative bank account and a negative mindset. Real estate investing isn't difficult if you have the right mindset. But if every time you get a text message that a sink is leaking or a dishwasher needs to be replaced, and that's going to send you off your rocker, you're going to have a really hard time as a real estate investor. So I got into the mindset of anytime there's a problem, I ask myself, is there money in the bank account? If the answer is yes, no problem. Money can fix almost anything. And so eventually you'll get to a place where your reserves are feeling really good. At the beginning, it doesn't feel that way. At the beginning, it's like, oh my gosh, I spent $10,000 more than I thought I would on this renovation. And you just have to remember that there's a purpose to all of this. So this is my very first deal. It's a little single family in Prairie Village, Kansas, like a name so cute, you can't even make it up. And this house cost me, I have the next slide we'll show you, but it cost me $217,000. When I was 27, I thought that was so much money. And now that I've been in real estate long enough, I'm like, oh, that was a pretty good deal. And I'm going to show you in the next slides because no good real estate presentation should go without before and after photos. It's like one of our favorite thing of real estate, right, guys? That and cash flow. So here is what I did to the attic. I turned this unused space into a 4th bedroom. I'm so sad to see that orange shag carpet go, but a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. And this is now a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. When I purchased it, it was a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. So added this 4th bedroom and then added an entire bathroom or turned the half bath into a full bath. And then I made it cute. I furnished it with my Target tenant in mind. I'm probably breaking some real estate discrimination, but I just wanted cute 20 somethings to live in my house. And so I decorated it with pinks and golds and fluffy things, and it worked. I used the rent by the room strategy, and I actually had separate leases on each bedroom, and I rented to 20 somethings. Then something wild happened. This is called the marriage house in my family because every single person that moved into this house got engaged. I saw the trend and I bought a one-way ticket to Portugal because I have commitment issues. But what happened is I would just have tenants move in and out of this house after 12, 15 months, and then they would find their replacement. And so I was able to manage this I ended up moving to Brazil, and I managed this from Brazil because the tenants would do their own showings. And this became my first rental and it worked. So I'll show you the numbers. Purchased it for $217. Market rent was $1,600, but my rent was $2,300 because I did the rent by the room strategy. And my PITI, which stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, was $1,548. And so that difference is my cash flow. I set aside 5% for capital expenditures, 5% for maintenance and repairs, 8% for vacancy in case there is vacancy. And then I set aside another 8% for property management, which hypothetically I pay myself, but I just keep it in the bank account. And so after it's all said and done, I'm cash flowing anywhere between $600 and $700 a month. And I thought, okay, I'm on to something. Before I move on, is there any questions about the renovation or the numbers?
Hi, yeah, this is Amanda here. Is there a tool that you use to run the numbers to make sure it's going to make sense before you purchase it?
Absolutely. I have a spreadsheet that I will give all of you. Just make sure that you guys email me or I'll send it over to you guys. And yes, I run the numbers on everything. So I'm running the numbers on what I think market rent is, what I think I'm going to get for rent, and how much renovation there's going to be.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. The renovation costs, no, they're not added into that 217. So my purchase price was 217. And then I only spent $11,000 because I took it down to the studs with my bare hands and I did the framing. I did not do the drywall. It's way too heavy to carry upstairs. But I even did some of the rough-in plumbing. I did not do any of the electric or the house would have burned down. But my dad and I did a lot of the work ourselves. And that's the last time I've done that much work because it's really, really hard. And you have to be there. And so you'll see that this property is a lot different than my other properties because I actually was there to do the work. But it probably should have cost me closer to $25,000. But I saved a lot of money because of my dad's connections in the town, as well as just doing a lot of the work myself, which was rewarding and terrible all at the same time. Anyone here have done renovations?
I haven't, but I did have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What made you, excuse me, what made you decide to go with the rent by the room strategy?
Just the math. So like
Okay.
this 1,600 versus 2,300, I thought that's amazing. The other reason is because I bought this owner occupied. And even though I only slept in the house probably like 6 months, I also wanted to keep a room to myself. And so that led really well into the rent by the room because I just was able to rent rooms to roommates who later became tenants.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. I'm sure we'll cover them. So that brings me back to my timeline. So I bought that first property in 2017. And then it wasn't until 2 years later that I bought my second property. What happened is I became fully nomadic. So 2018, I probably spent like 3 months of that year abroad and then another 2 to 3 months just traveling the US. But in 2019, I bought a one-way ticket to Argentina because why not? I had a job where I worked fully remotely. This was before COVID, of course. And they said I could live anywhere. So I took that to the extreme and I lived in a village in Brazil after visiting Argentina. And it wasn't until November of that year that I bought a second property. And I thought, wow, I'm really a real estate investor. And I think that that's where everything changed. I just spoke to an investor this morning, Jennifer. And the moment you change your identity and you say, I'm a real estate investor, even those of you that said that you just own your primary, like you're a real estate investor. You're showing up to calls like this. You're reading the books. You're listening to the podcast. The quicker you can identify yourself as a real estate investor, I really think that it positively correlates to you taking action. So that's something that I did in 2019 that I highly recommend. And here are the numbers on my second deal. My houses get less and less cute over time. That's something to note. But I bought this property for $185. It's a duplex, up down duplex. It's actually humongous. They're 3-bedroom, 1-bath units, and the house just goes back really far on this lot. So this photo is a bit deceiving. My market rent on this was probably about $800 a unit. And I'm able to get $1,950 because I was doing something unique. I rent out to like 4-generation family. So the grandmother, or I guess, grandmother and the mother live in the bottom unit. And then her daughter and the daughter's son live in the top unit. And so this was wonderful because they pay utilities. Anyone that owns a multifamily, unless the water's submetered, you, the landlord, are going to pay for utilities. But because like multi-generational family lives in this property, they take care of all the landscaping and all the utilities, which meant I was getting more rent. And then PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is $1,079. So we really like the math on this one. I was very excited about this property. Any questions about that? All right. So then fast forward to 2020, and here I am, I'm all jacked up. I'm like, I'm a real estate investor now. And I wrote a lot of offers and I went under contract a few times, but I didn't buy anything in 2020. I did move to New Zealand. So I was about 8,000 miles away on the other side of the world, but I was really frustrated. It was truly what I call Instagram versus reality, because I was so frustrated that my offers were not getting accepted. Anyone here, put in the chat, have you written an offer and it's been rejected? Because it doesn't feel good. You spend all that time, whoever asked about how I analyze deals, I'm analyzing deals. I'm so excited. The numbers pencil out. I write the offer and it's rejected. And that happened more than 10 times in 2020. So I was feeling pretty defeated. And lucky for you guys is I'm going to share with you what I did differently that led to owning as many units as I do now. Oh yeah, so here's my van life. I lived in a van. You were going to get married in New Zealand? That's incredible. I didn't know that. It is absolutely stunning. So I do hope you make it there. This is truly a photo that I snapped on my lunch break. I worked 40 hours a week, 8 to 5 from the van, from my computer. And then I would stop places like this for lunch. It was amazing. This is the only suitcase I had at the end. I sold the van and most of my belongings, and I flew home with this suitcase. What's really funny is hiding behind this suitcase is my legs and a boot. I went home on crutches. Never a dull moment with me, you guys. And then it really was Instagram versus reality. Everything looked really great, but the reality was I was crying in my van because I couldn't get anything under contract. And then that is when everything changed. I realized that I was trying to make so many deals work. I wanted to do a BRRRR. I wanted to do a house hack. I wanted to do a short-term rental. I wanted to buy in this market. So I was writing offers in that market. And everything changed when I really zeroed in on my deal criteria. Then you need somewhere to send that deal criteria. Oh, Amanda's in an RV right now. Amazing. We'll have to chat about this, Amanda. So once you know your deal criteria, you need somewhere to send it. So I was sending it to investor-friendly agents. And here is an actual message that I sent my agent. You can see the date stamp, March 18th, 2021. This is from Google Voice. I was in New Zealand and this is what I wrote. I said, "Hi, Chris. I got distracted the past 2 months and realized that was a mistake. I am 100% committed to buying in Omaha. I want a value add 2 to 4 unit property with $250 of cash flow per month per door. I am open to up to $15,000 of renovation if the numbers make sense. I want Omaha." And then I put a smiley face. I'm direct but friendly. Price under 200,000 if a 2 unit, up to 400,000 if a 4 unit. I have a lender. I'm pre-approved and ready. I have access to hard money if I need to position myself for a quick 2-week close, but would much prefer to use conventional financing. Any questions about any of this language? Is there anything in here that you don't understand?
Hi, Amanda again. I have a lot of questions just because my current rental property was at home that I lived in. And then I started traveling, so I'm renting it now. So I'm kind of really interested in the life. When you secure financing for more properties, are you doing conventional loans or is it like obviously I'm a true newbie because I'm asking probably a novice question, but are you doing like is it like an investment property loan, a specific loan that you're getting?
Yeah, great question. So that first property that I bought, that single family, let's go back and look at it. So this first property I bought with a owner occupied conventional loan. It allowed me to put less than 20% down because I lived in it. I actually qualified for a program called Home Ready, the Home Ready program. You have to make less than the 80% median average salary in your area. Prairie Village is a very swanky little area, so it was really high and I wasn't making very much money, so that was easy to qualify. Then this property, I did the same thing. I did an owner occupied loan and I lived in the upstairs unit. That family that I mentioned moved into the downstairs unit and they were happy to live in one unit by themselves until COVID hit. And then they're like, "Oh, this stinks," because the son was in virtual school. The mom started working from home. And then the mom's mom started working from home. And then, of course, grandma was there all the time. And so that is when I came up with the idea. I said, "Hey, would you guys want to rent my unit upstairs?" So that's actually how that came about. But originally, I lived in that upstairs unit with a roommate who I was charging $600. And that allowed me to do an owner occupied loan. Then for this property that we're talking about, when I texted Chris, you can see here, I have a lender and I'm pre-approved. That is, I'm pre-approved for 2 things. I was pre-approved for an owner occupied loan. I could occupy a new property. That means I would have to move from New Zealand back to the US into that property. Or I qualified also for a conventional loan, which would have required 20 or 25% down. But it's still a conventional loan, even though it's considered an investment property conventional loan. Why I like conventional lending when you can qualify is great, the best rates. You're going to get a 30-year fixed, which at the time I was getting like 3.9 or 4.2% interest fixed for 30 years, no matter what happens. Whereas in other countries, actually, there's only like one country in Africa and the United States that offer 30-year fixed. The rest of the world, they're offering like 5-year fixed, maybe 15-year fixed. So it's a huge benefit that we get here in the US having a 30-year fix because interest rates could be 15% in a couple of years, but we're able to lock in at 3 or 4% interest. Then you can see a second sentence in here. I have access to hard money. Hard money is another type of funding, which is less regulated than conventional. So they're not looking at you, the borrower, they're looking at the property, and it costs more money. So there's going to be more fees involved with using hard money. It's usually going to be a higher interest rate as well as interest only. But that's another funding option.
So where would you go to get a hard money access? Is that like a specific like obviously I'm not going to Wells Fargo. Well, not obviously, but I'm
great.
assuming I'm not going to Wells Fargo to say, "Hey, can I have some hard money?"
You're exactly right. There's actually hard money lenders. That's what they're called, hard money lenders. And I can introduce you to two that I can introduce you to three that I know and trust. And then there's plenty out there. So start asking, ask here in the InvestHer group and start networking. But there's actually set out to be hard money lenders. It's usually a group of wealthy people that come together, bring their money together, and then start a hard money lending company.
Okay, kind of like crowdsourcing, but a different.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much. You're so great.
Yeah, absolutely. No, those are fantastic questions. Anything else about this criteria that I sent over to Chris? And Chris was my real estate agent. So any guesses on what happened next? What do you guys think Chris said or did?
I was like, do you want me to guess? I'll let someone
Anyone?
else. I'll let
Do you
someone
guys,
else.
who thinks Chris ghosted me? Who thinks Chris responded?
I mean, I'm a real estate agent. If I got a message like this, I'd be like, all right, let's lock and load it. And I'm going to send you properties that match what you're going for. So,
All right. Well, Sadie, put your contact information in the chat. Let's get some investors here messaging you because Sadie, Chris is like you. And this is what he texted me. So on March 18th, I texted him this. And 4 days later, on March 22nd, he wrote, I have a fourplex for you. If I had known I would show this text message to now thousands of people, I would have responded a little more professionally. But this is me. I said, Yahoo, let's see it. And then he texted me this photo. It's pretty beautiful. What do you guys think I did then? Sadie, what do you think happened?
ran the numbers, looked at comparable properties, made sure it made sense.
Yep, exactly right. And then I bought it. Here I am. Here I am about 60 days after close, standing in front of my unit. I sold my van and I flew the 8,000 miles from Auckland, New Zealand to Omaha, Nebraska, and I bought this puppy. And I did use an owner occupied loan. So I live in this top unit up here. It was a 3.5% down FHA loan. And yes, it is really beautiful. It's really interesting property. Commercial agents bought it, which now we became friends because I text them all the time. And they tried to flip it. And they just ran into every terrible thing that can happen to you when you flip. You know, they found more things wrong with it. They spent too much on renovation. They spent too much time on holding costs. And one of the tenants sued them. So they just ran into lots of trouble. So when my agent, Chris, texted them and said, hey guys, someone wants this. Do you have anything? They're like, hell yeah, get this thing off my plate. So I ran the numbers, loved everything about this building, especially the numbers, which I will show you guys. So this is a screenshot of the spreadsheet that I'll share with you. So I purchased this for $320. Let me show you over here. So I bought it for $320. My upfront rehab was $12,000 or so. I thought I ended up spending less than that. And then rent was going to be around $5,000 is what I thought. 8% vacancy, again, 5% CapEx, 5% maintenance. I put in property taxes, estimated insurance, landlord paid utilities because I knew I was going to live in one of the units and possibly furnish another unit. And then I should have put in property management, but I'm self-managing. And then you can see here with 3.5% down, this made it a 70% cash on cash return. Who here would buy this deal? Anyone? All day. Awesome, Rachel. Yasha would. All right, wonderful. Yes, the cash flow according to this is $1,931. I'm actually getting more than that because here I'm running the numbers. This 850 is a long-term tenant. This 850 is a long-term tenant. And then I ended up furnishing 2 of the units. So these are furnished rentals, which is how I'm able to get $1,250 or so I thought. But fast forward, you guys, and now 3 of the 4 units are furnished. and I'm actually getting 1,875. And my monthly payment is still 2,017. So this ends up being a really good deal. All right, I'm sure we're gonna have lots of questions about this. I will also give you guys this spreadsheet. So what questions do you have about the numbers on this or the calculation?
I have a question. Oh, wait, actually, my bad. Natalia has a question.
Mhm.
Sorry, I was raising my hand to say that I would buy the property.
Excellent, excellent. All right, you had a question?
Yes. So how are you calculating, or are you using like the same spreadsheet if you're calculating for different types of strategies, for example, like short term versus medium term? Like, how are you doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the furnishing costs in this line, upfront rehab costs. That includes furniture. In this case, I was only thinking I was going to furnish 1 or 2 units. Rental income, I would just increase the rental income like to what I think it's going to be for a medium or short term. And then you also have to increase utilities. So those are the 3 things that change between a long-term rental and a furnished rental. I do have another calculator that I use to run short-term rentals, but that's not the calculator that I'm using to quickly analyze deals. I'm using this calculator to analyze everything, and I want to be able to analyze a deal in like 5 to 7 minutes. And if I have market rent, estimated rehab, property taxes, and insurance, then I can analyze anything in 10 minutes or less. And I'm getting those pieces of information from the agent.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? And we'll have plenty of time for questions too, but I just want to catch anything while I'm here. All right. So then, as I said, I furnished it. So I furnished the unit, or I should say my team furnished the unit, because this bad boy got furnished while I was in New Zealand. And then I posted on Instagram about it, and people said, "Oh my God, can you furnish mine?" And in my head, I said, "Oh my God, no." Like, I have a job. And then I said, okay, wait. What would an entrepreneur do? And I started a company. So I now own Aria Design Services. We analyze properties for you, we furnish them for you, and we'll help you launch your Airbnb or Furnish Finder property. We have done 37 units in 12 states this year for over 20 something clients, and it's so fun. I really like the launch piece. My partner loves the furnish piece, and my operations manager is a rock star at the analysis piece. And so you really get a full service team that loves this, because not only is designing Airbnbs fun, but it's really fun when my client Jason called me to let me know that he retired his wife because of their Airbnb. And that's the kind of stuff that I absolutely love. And if you've ever furnished a property by yourself, it is so much work. And you never want to put together another nightstand for the rest of your life. So just hire us and we'll do it for you.
How much are your services? Does it depend on the square footage of the property?
It does. It depends on the square footage and the timeline. We get people who are like, "Hi, can you furnish our place next week?" We're like, "No." Are like, "Actually, yes, we can. There's an expedition fee." But it will cost you, if you choose to work with us to create a curated design that's special to your unit. It starts at $2,000. That does not include the furniture, of course, and does not include us flying out there. If you want our team to fly out and do all of the install, that typically is going to start at about 6,000.
Do
And
you
so when you're,
oh,
go ahead.
Do you also offer like where maybe someone already has an Airbnb to like look over their stuff? Okay.
That's like one of my favorite things to do. So what I do often, I just did this for my friend Scriven, is he sent me his listing and I just did a Loom video or recorded screen recording. And I went through every single room and told him what I would do. And then I also sent him links to things that I would purchase. In his case, it was actually getting rid of a bunch of stuff. It was like one of those cabins that has bare everything and the mountains are calling everywhere. I was like, okay, let's throw some of that stuff away. But yes, I'm happy to audit your place as well. I can also audit your listing. If you're not getting enough traction on your Airbnb or Furnish Finder listing, I'm happy to audit that as well. Those services cost anywhere between like $189 to $399 if we're going to completely redo your listing and do it for you. And then analyzing your deal. If you have a deal that you want to know, how would this run as a long-term, medium-term, and short-term? We'll run all three scenarios. I believe it costs $240 or $249.
How do we just go to saradweaver.com?
Yep. And there's also ariadesignservices.com, but both of them work. And I'll send out a follow-up email for this as well. Excellent. So I love the medium-term rental strategy so much that I wrote a book about it. My book was published last month. It's called 30-Day Stay, a real estate investor's guide to mastering the medium-term rental. So Sarah, what is a medium-term rental? What I found is that my tenants wanted to stay about 90 days in my unit because I tend to have traveling nurses. So traveling nurses usually get 13-week contracts at a nearby hospital. And I love it because they are less headache than having someone check in for the weekend and then check out and make a mess or throw a party. And so I have now converted all of my furnished rentals into medium-term rentals and target traveling nurses specifically. Now 9 of my 19 units are medium-term rentals. If you guys go to saradweaver.com/MTR, you will get 10% off the book. If you're interested, you can get it on Audible. Then I can't give 10% off because it's from Amazon, but highly recommend. It really is like a step-by-step guide. If you are an advanced short-term rental host or operator, this book is not for you. We really break down everything. Like I talk about what is cash on cash and how do you calculate it. And so it really is a step-by-step guide. If that's where you are in your investing, the book is perfect for you. So let's do a little mindset check-in. I love to kind of stop at this point because I'm sure some of you are like, oh my gosh, let's do this. And some of you are like, yeah, that sounds great, but. So I want to talk about your butts. What are some of the things going through your head that you're like, okay, this sounds great for her, but I don't want to move to Kansas or I don't want to move to Nebraska. What are some of the things that you're thinking right now? I would love to address them.
Well, I hate to be the hog of all the questions, but if no
No.
one's going to ask, I'll ask. So for me being new to the area in Florida and looking in the Jacksonville area, when I'm looking online at like good and bad neighborhoods, it seems to be a lot of bad neighborhoods where the multifamily homes are. Do you just avoid them altogether then, or do you try to do some low income housing? I don't really know. I've been back and forth on what to do.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic question. And the first thing I want to say, and then Yasha, I'm going to have you answer, is you need to decide what you're comfortable with and what your goals are. I don't think you should try to start a 5-star Airbnb in an undesirable neighborhood. And we all know investors that are making great money and providing safe, secure housing in these types of neighborhoods. And so I think you first need to decide what's your comfort level, but know that every investor is different and most investors are making really good money in all types of neighborhoods. Yasha, what were you going to say?
I was going to kind of piggyback off of that regarding like Jacksonville and what's available. That may be what's available, but there are a lot of properties or multifamily like near the beach or like Riverside that I would maybe target or go after, because I know that those areas are the most desirable depending on your strategy also. Yeah.
And my question was just more so if I'm going to try the out of state, if I can't go there right away, I know I'm going to probably look for an agent that can help me in that area, but I won't have as much familiarity with the area or
Mhm.
good choices, things like that. So
Yes.
how did,
I was the exact same way. I had been to like the southern suburbs of Omaha, Nebraska, because that happens to be where my aunt lives. And my aunt and I are not close. So I was not going to text her and be like, tell me about this area. My aunt is also, let's just say bougie. I'm like trying to say something nice. She's a little stuck up. And so she would never travel to this part of town. And she has opinions as someone that lives there, not as an investor. And so with that being said, I had no insider knowledge on Omaha, Nebraska, like nothing. People are like, oh, your family's from there. I'm like, yeah, but my family's not helpful at all when it comes to this kind of stuff, or at least that family that lives in Omaha, you know? So I didn't know this area at all. And so what that meant is I relied heavily on the opinion of my investor friendly agent, a property manager that I built a relationship with, and other investors. So you guys are so lucky to be a part of the InvestHer community, because there is a thriving InvestHer community in so many different markets. And people love talking about real estate. So like if you called me, I'm not the best person to ask like street by street because I don't live there. But if you called me and you want to talk about anything else real estate, I would talk your ear off for an hour. So then find someone in that market who really knows the area, like especially someone that does high volume, like a real estate agent, a wholesaler, a flipper. They're going to know block by block. And that's who I lean on. I don't ever look up crime rates on the internet, because if we do that, it's going to tell us like there's crime everywhere. Everybody's getting stabbed. That's just not the narrative. Like that's not reality. And so you have to talk to an investor in that area, and you have to talk to an investor. Do not talk to your cousin that lives in a $600,000 house in Iowa. They're not going to have any concept of what it's like to be a landlord. So only talk to other landlords. By the way, a $600,000 house in Iowa is huge. So excellent. Are you guys ready for another story? All right. So do you guys recognize this blue building in the background of this photo? Yeah, that's my fourplex. And then I saw this for rent sign in the yard. And if you guys are active real estate investors, you might think this way as well. The first thing I did is I called the number. I asked a bunch of questions about the property. I wanted to find out, the building looks identical to mine. So wanted to know about the systems, about the unit. And I just called and I asked a bunch of questions. And then a few days later, I saw who I presumed to be the landlord mowing the lawn. As you can see, it's a very well-kept lawn. And so I looked in the mirror and I kid you not, I said, I'm going to buy the building next door. And then I walked across our shared driveway and I probably scared the bejesus out of him because he was mowing. And I got his attention and I introduced myself as, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm just a little investor. I bought this blue building. And he immediately was like, well, what'd you buy it for? And when I told him I bought it for $320, his eyes got as big as ping pong balls. I could tell him like, ooh, he's interested. So we just chatted. I didn't do the hard sell. I was like, yeah, if you need anything or if you want me to keep an eye on your property, let me know. I don't mow, but I can keep an eye on things. And he was like, oh, yeah. And then he was like, well, what do you do? And at the time I worked for a real estate brokerage. And I was like, oh, I work for a real estate brokerage. I'm always talking to investors. And I kid you not, he said, oh, well, do you know an investor that'd be interested in buying my building? And I almost fell over in the driveway. I was like, stay cool. I was like, yeah, maybe. And I made sure, this is really important, you guys, especially if you're in sales, get their number. Because he was like, can I have your number? I was like, yeah, sure. You can have my number, but I want your number, because if I give you my number and you never call me, then it's not going to go anywhere. So I made sure that I got his number. I actually didn't have my phone on me. So he ran to his truck, like sprinted to his truck and got a piece of paper. I was like, oh, he is eager beaver. I'm so excited. And so I got his information, and 8 days later, I was under contract. Yeah. But truly, mindset and manifestation has been absolutely key in everything I've done. So if you are in a negative mind space, which I was in 2020, I was super frustrated. And everyone's commenting like, oh my God, your life is amazing. I was like, oh, all I want is a fourplex. And so I really encourage you guys, you have to believe that this is all is going to work out, because that's when the magic starts to happen. So I bought it. And then I hired Aria Design Services, my company, to furnish it. So we furnished it. And now every unit in that building is a furnished rental. And market rent using the MTR strategy is over $7,500. And my monthly payment is $2,000. So this property alone meant I quit my job.
It looks like we have a question from Felicia. Okay.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Hi. So that's so exciting. Like, that is literally my next goal, is to buy a duplex. So I'm kind of more interested. I don't know if you were going to get to this question on how you purchased the property. Was it like a sub two type of thing, or was it an investment property purchase?
Yeah,
I'm sorry
great.
if that's
No. I love talking the financing. I'm so glad you asked. So of course I did try subject to. I did try to get seller financing. He wasn't having it. He wanted the money. He knew exactly
Yes,
how
he
he was
wanted the
going to
money.
spend the money. So he sold this to me. Oh, the other thing I should have mentioned is when I called him this phone number, you guys, I Googled him as well. And then I looked up the tax records on this property. So I knew before I walked across the driveway and talked to him when he was mowing, I knew that he owned 8 investment properties in Omaha. So I asked, I'm like an attorney. I only ask questions I know the answers to. So I had a bunch of information on him. I knew where he worked. I looked up his LinkedIn. I looked up his face. I knew so much about him before we got started with that conversation, which meant I knew exactly how I was going into it. And so he was not interested in seller financing, unfortunately, but that is the first thing I tried. And then I walked into my unit. I made sure he started mowing again, because I walked into my unit and I just went, like, I was so excited. And then I said, oh shit, I don't have any money.
Right? Thank you. I'm just
Because
Not really.
I bought this unit. Oh, sorry, this building. I furnished 2 of the units. So that was like another $12K. And part of the story I haven't told you guys is I was under contract on 2 other duplexes in Des Moines at this time. So I closed on this property, went under contract on 2 more, and then had this conversation. And so I'm like, okay, that's great. Way to go, Sarah. You're great at the gift of gab, but you don't have any freaking money. And so I took the problem to my mastermind. I was like, what do I do? And they're like, easy, get a partner. And I was like, oh, okay. And so that's exactly what I did. So I found someone who had a W-2 to purchase this with a conventional loan under their name. And then after we closed, we did a quit claim deed into an LLC, and we own the property 50-50.
So that's amazing. Okay, hold on. You had someone with a W-2 purchase the property. So did you give them, so they put their own money down, or?
So what I offered is I found the deal. I'm going to manage the deal. And so you come with the down payment and secure the loan, and then you don't do anything. And then we're 50-50 partners. So they're the money partner and I'm the hustle partner.
Gotcha. So they get 50-50 from the profits going forward.
Yep.
So would that be considered a silent equity partner almost?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Amazing.
Question.
That answers my question.
Sorry,
Okay.
I have more questions. So you took the deal to your group, and is that where you found the W-2 person, or how did you find them?
No, it ended up being my mom's best friend's daughter. She lives in Omaha and fell in love with a mechanic, and her entire family is devastated and wanted her to marry some rich guy. And so I told her, screw your family, we're going to make you rich. And she said, okay.
So did you do like a slideshow and show her the numbers, the possibilities? And that's when she was like, oh my gosh, let me give you my money.
Yep.
Do you have a copy of your presentation?
Yeah,
Right. Can I see it?
I use someone else's. And so, yeah, I'll share theirs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You want me to put my email in here so I can get that?
Yeah. Email me. I'll put my email in here.
Okay.
And yes. Yes, there was a legal contract. It's called an operating agreement, and my attorney wrote it up.
Okay. Can I get your attorney information too?
You'll want the attorney to be in the state that your property's in. So unless you're buying in Omaha, it's not that helpful.
Yeah, it's not. Okay.
I got you covered in Florida.
Hey, Sarah, I have a question.
Yes.
For you. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you transferred it over to the LLC, how does that work with the lender? Because I have that issue too with like conventional loans are hard for me to do because I don't have income. So obviously when I go into more commercial loans, then it's a lot more money down. So I like your strategy of trying to do the conventional loans, but I always get kind of hung up with that whole process. Like in my mind, how does that work when you click to get back over?
So your options are to partner with someone that can get conventional, and then they can put the loan in their name. Your other option is to go commercial and purchase in an LLC. You could do a private lender. So you could just find a private lender is just, I like to think they're your rich uncle. In my case, it's my rich college friend, and I pay him 9 to 11% interest, depending on the loan. Your other option is DSCR, debt service coverage ratio loans. I have a great DSCR lender. They do not care if you have a job or not. Also, these hard money lenders that I know, they also have 30-year products where it's not interest only. And again, they don't care if you have a job either.
So when you transfer it over to the LLC, what happens with the lender?
You hope they don't find out.
Okay,
because
so it's just kind of like
they could make the loan due if they wanted to. It's called mortgage due on sale, but I've never once heard of that happening. So I went ahead and took the risk. But the loan stays as is.
Sorry to jump in. Would you recommend then doing a land trust for that property, or did you just solely put it in your LLC? Okay.
No, just put it in my LLC. And I'm not a CPA or an attorney. This is not legal advice. There's my
Okay. And really quick, I wanted to ask, when you say put it in your LLC, is that not the same as put it in a trust and making the beneficiary an LLC?
It's a different tax entity. It's a different tax structure.
Okay. Okay.
These are fantastic questions. All right,
Hey,
we're gonna
Sarah?
keep. Oh yeah, go ahead. We'll
can-
no. Go ahead. We'll answer this question, then we'll keep going.
When you set up your LLCs, I was reading to do like a parent. Sorry, I have the fuzzy thing on my camera. Do you set up like a parent in Delaware? I heard for real estate, you do like a parent LLC and in Delaware, and then you have separate LLCs in each state that are under that LLC. Is that how you're structured?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to table this because I'll get to it in another slide.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So to recap, you got to have money. You got to have mindset. Both of these need to be positive. We like positive bank accounts and positive mindset. Then you have to know your deal criteria. It is okay to want to do a BRRRR and a short-term rental and an out-of-state and this and that. You're just not going to do it all at once. I think we're all women here. Balance is a joke. There's no such thing. So some days you're going to be a better employee, and other days you're going to be a better friend, and other days you're going to be a better mom. Like you can't be all of it at once. That is a myth. And it's the exact same thing with real estate investing. You're not going to do 9 different strategies at one time. You might do 9 different strategies in a year, which I think is awesome. I did end up doing an out-of-state renovation, BRRRR, house hack, short-term rental, medium-term rental, and long-term rental. I used hard money, private money, debt partnership, and equity partnership all in the same year, but I didn't do it all at the same time. So what I encourage you guys to do is to pick your one strategy and your one market and focus for the next 45 days. I guarantee that it will happen. You're not where you are with your real estate portfolio because you're distracted. And then find an investor-friendly agent. If you are interested in a market, please email me. And if I have an agent, I will let you know. I will introduce you. All right, there's my soapbox. All right, so back to my timeline. It's 2020, and then bam, in 2021, I went from 3 units to 15 units in 92 days. I bought 12 units in 2 brand new markets because I did what I told you guys I did. I picked a strategy, I found an agent, and then I figured it out. So I bought a 4-plex, a duplex, and a 4-plex in 92 days. And this is what some of my portfolio looks like right now. These are the 2 duplexes I bought. They're next door to each other. They actually were a BRRRR. The BRRRR strategy stands for buy, renovate, rent it out, and refinance. And so that's what I did. So I was able to buy these properties with less than 20% down using the BRRRR strategy. Here's my little duplex. I call it my up, down, dirty duplex. It needs a power wash. And then here's my very first unit that I furnished. This is only possible if you have a supportive network. So pat yourself on the back. You showed up today. You have an incredible leader. Yasha is amazing. And so reach out to her when you need support. And having a supportive network is everything. When I walked across the street, talked to that that seller, I had all the confidence in the world until I got back to my room and I'm like, oh my God, I have no money. And my supportive network was like, you don't need money. We got you. We'll figure this out. And so you need that supportive network. If you're craving a supportive network, I would love to give it to you. I actually curate incredible experiences all over the world. I announced my next 2023 event yesterday. It is an 8-day African safari.
Oh my God.
So if you guys would like to come, I think there's 8 spots left. It is going to be absolutely epic. We are going to spend the day looking at animals, the evening drinking wine, and in all the long car rides and all the amazing dinners, we can't help ourselves but talk about real estate. But there are no presenters, no content. It is just meant to be epic adventure. And it's a write-off because it's a business trip. So if you go to sarahdweaver.com/trips, you will get an invite. I just announced it yesterday to the wait list, and I haven't announced it to my entire audience yet. I will either do it next Tuesday or after the holidays. But yeah, if you guys want to come to Africa, it's going to be amazing. This is my friend Scott. He says that like these cats really do come up on the car often. So you can almost guarantee that will happen. And then you'll see all the big 5, like rhinos, elephants, giraffes, lions. It's going to be amazing. As well as the 2 million wildebeest migration should be happening at the same time that we're there. So anyone want to come? All right, amazing. Let's get some cash flow. So the next step is you have to start writing offers. Real estate investing is not something that you think about and then it happens. You have to take action. So I really encourage you guys to start writing offers. This is my humble brag. I wrote offers from really cool places. But you can write offers from wherever you are. And I encourage you guys to start doing that. And then here's what my portfolio looks like now. I put this out there because I thought it was going to take 20 properties to hit my cash flow goals. But really, it just took some boring duplexes for me to get where I am. So in 2022, earlier this year, I bought a duplex in Urbandale, Iowa, and another duplex in Des Moines. And that is how I got to 19 units in 4 states. any questions about this piece or Africa?
When is the trip in Africa?
June 4th to the 11th.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You have my email. You can, if you're not on Instagram, my Facebook and LinkedIn are also Sarah D. Weaver, and my Instagram is Sarah D. Weaver. Please reach out to me. I really do read all of my DMs. Would love to help you guys. I'm going to stop share screen and we can just have Q&A. How's that sound? All right.
How much is the Africa trip?
It is, that's a very good question. I believe it's $5,500 for your private room. And let me see.
Is that double occupancy, like, or is it like per person?
Let's see. All right. So for your own room, it's 6,000. For double occupancy, it's 5,000. But if you and your partner would like to come, it's 11,000 per couple. And that includes everything. We are staying places with infinity pools. We're doing sunrise hot air balloon, includes all the wine, all the safaris, all the entrance. That includes everything. My goal is get yourself there. Once your feet touch the tarmac, I got you.
And that information is on your profile?
Yep. I will put it in the chat as well.
You're making me rethink my goals a lot. Because just like you, I have a goal of 20, but I know what like each property should produce per door. So that's just making me like, okay, just woosah.
So I think what's important is I don't even have a unit count goal anymore. My goals are all tied to cash flow. Now that I've hit 10 to 14,000 a month in cash flow, now I want 20. I'll probably eventually will want 50. But here's the thing, you guys, like I'm enjoying the journey. Like I chose travel this year as a priority over killing myself and adding another 10 units. Because here's what happens if you self-manage, every time you add a property, that's actually the easiest part. Then once you go under contract, you have to do due diligence. Once you close on the property, you have to stabilize. And so that's the part that is like it's sexy to talk about, 3 to 15 units in 92 days. Well, then I've spent the last 7 months like stabilizing those properties and making like kick-ass systems so that I can like go off grid on an African safari and still self-manage from the other side of the world. And so a lot of that takes a lot of time. And so what I like to think of is have a cash flow goal. Don't have a unit count goal.
What if it's both? Like, so I know I want 20 doors total with that produce like a minimum of $500 a door, which would basically equate to like, I think I rounded it up, but basically I want 20K a month in cash flow.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. All right, I'm looking in the chat, making sure I didn't skip any questions. I will get to your question about choosing markets. We'll talk about LLCs for your down payment small. Okay, what do you suggest for loan types or ways to get your down payment for small multifamily that if you don't want a house hack? So if you can, Sandra, I would do conventional lending. You've already shared that your W-2 doesn't allow for that. So that's fine, but they're going to have the best rates. Next is DSCR. It's a great option if you don't have a job. If you don't have, we'll call it a W-2. And then hard money is going to be interest only. So you only want to be in that loan for a short period of time. Private lender, again, is going to be interest only. So you want to be in that for a short amount of time. And then you can do what's called equity partnerships, which is what I've done, where there's a money partner and a hustle partner. That's only one way to set it up. What you could do is 2 of you in the group could partner together, and then you could split the duties. So maybe one of you brings half of the down payment and does, let's call it acquisitions. And then the other person brings half of the down payment and you do management or distributions, if that's what you want to call it. That's another way to do it as well. There's so many different ways you can set this up.
That's a great idea. I did do a DSCR loan refinance. I'm doing that right now. So I'm getting familiar with it. It's been a good experience to learn about that. It's nice because they close quickly and they're super easy, but they're just like a higher percentage and less leverage. So
if you want my private lender presentations, also email me that too. And put that in the email because you guys, I'm not checking my email anymore. My assistant does it and it's amazing. So she'll put everything in an email for you.
So should we kind of mention like, hey, we were in the InvestHer, because I'm literally emailing you right now.
Yeah, no,
should
no,
we put that?
I already texted her.
Okay.
Now, when you present your presentation for private money or just equity partners, are you just posting that like you're holding like a whatever thing to learn about investing and then see who's interested in the deal that you present, or how are you positioning that and reaching more people?
You know, at the very beginning, I'm really strategic with my relationships. So I went to 2 people that I thought it was really likely that they would say yes. And I said, hey, Josh, do you know anyone that would be interested in making 9% interest on their money and not do anything? And again, I worded it like, do you know anyone? And he was like, yeah, duh, me. In my head, I'm like, yeah, I know. That was what I was hoping you'd say. But that felt a lot more comfortable because he was just like a college, like he was like, he lived on my floor in my dorm. I just like knew he was wealthy. And so I reached out to him and was like, do you have $80,000 you'd part with for 6 months? And he said, heck yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do we have any other questions? I think we had one from Bailey.
Yes. How do you choose these areas to invest in? So I have metrics. Let me see if I can find the slide. Well, I'll chat while I'm looking for this. So I have metrics or demographics that I look for. So my biggest thing that I'm looking for is population growth. I want to go somewhere where more people are moving to. And then I, of course, want to see home values are going up. So I want home values to increase. I want crime rates to be going down, population to be increasing. I want to see a 2 to 3% job growth over time. I want to see that they're making more money. So I want to see wage and income growth in the area. And then I want to see that other landlords are increasing their rent, because that means I'm going to be able to as well. So these are the 6 metrics that I look at. And then you find out that there's like a gazillion markets in the US that qualify. So then the next thing you got to do is you got to find an agent, because it doesn't matter if you love, let me just pick somewhere random, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. If you don't have an agent there sending you deals, then it doesn't really matter. So that's how I ended up in Omaha and Des Moines, is I had kick-ass agents sending me great deals that hit my criteria all the time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. And there are so many investors making great money all over the country. we live in a world where we love, like, I want the best, like, I'm going to get the best microphone and the best ring light. And so I spend 2 hours Googling consumer reports, reading about ring lights. It's like, guys, just buy a freaking ring light. They all do the same thing. They all light up. They all make you look good. I mean, look how terrible I look without it on, right? And so you just need to pick a market. There is no such thing as the best market. It was Phoenix in 2016 and we missed it. And so just pick a market and then just love on that market. And you have to be honest with yourself. Like, I had to be like, I'm trying so hard. And my mentor was like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, I am. Like, I really want an investment property. And she's like, yeah, but wanting and working really hard are two different things. And so that's when I like got my shit together. I wrote that text message to Chris Benson, and then I followed up with him every single day. And then what you guys didn't see is I sent a really similar text message to Chase in Des Moines, Iowa, which is how I ended up getting those 2 duplexes. I didn't want to buy that many properties that quickly. It was very stressful, but I'm a woman of my word. And I told them I was committed to buying something. So when they sent me a deal that met my criteria, I figured it out. Thank you guys for asking great questions. Who else has a question?
Oh, I think I asked a question earlier about like your mindset. Like, what was the thing, or what did you do to help you get out of like that mindset or have a mindset shift?
I think it was having my mentor like call me out and be like, you're not really trying that hard. And I don't know if any of you identify as overachievers, but I'm super competitive. I was the president of every club I was in. I was like, do not tell me that I do not work hard. And I was really, one thing I really like about my personality is I'm very coachable. So I have no ego, like even with everything I just said. So when she said that, I wasn't defensive. I was like, shit, you're right. And then I changed. And she gave me the advice. She said I was looking in too many different markets and I was distracted. And she was absolutely right. I wrote 17 offers in 2020 in 9 different markets. I was distracted. And the moment I focused, I said, okay, I'm going to buy something in Omaha. I was under contract within 16 days. And so focus, like that is what you need to do. I think we just had a great question come in. What's the next couple of steps after you've picked your market, found your agent and property? It's due diligence. So the due diligence process is so important. Once you go under contract on a property, you have to make sure it's a good deal. And so you can Google due diligence checklist. There's lots of them out there. If you email me, I'll send you mine. And it's so important to have a really good due diligence checklist. And then surround yourself with other investors because you're going to have a gazillion questions. I'm not purposefully avoiding the LLC question, but it's so specific to where you are that I don't want, like, I can tell you like what properties I have are in what LLC, but it all is so specific to how I bought them. And so the biggest thing is like, just don't even worry about it. Like you can open an LLC in 48 hours and you can do it after you go under contract. And so like the LLC should be like step 32 on your long list of buying a property. It's not advice that people like to hear, but it doesn't matter is really the answer. And then talk to your CPA and your attorney, and then they're going to give you 2 differing opinions. And then you just have to pick one.
I have another question. So for example, I bought a property long distance in another city in Florida, and I really like that area, but I've really been trying to buy something here in Jacksonville. Do you recommend that I stick with Tallahassee, or do you think that because I'm kind of like I would say all of our properties are within like 2 hours or 2.5 hours of Jacksonville.
And so what makes you want to invest outside?
I just see the market here as like I could buy 2 properties for the amount that I would spend on one here in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And then
like,
and then what's keeping you from wanting, I mean, what's your hesitation, I guess?
I don't know. I just feel like I should have, I don't know, like it might be a mindset thing, but I feel like I should have more here locally. I mean, I know Jacksonville like the back of my hand, and I just feel like I should have something here.
But if it's not working, like I would love to own something else in Kansas City. Like I'm sitting in Kansas City right now. My parents live here. I love my parents, but I really wish I was not sleeping here when I visit. I would love to own something in Kansas City. I just can't make the numbers work. Like I have 3 agents sending me deals and they're all garbage. And so sometimes like the market that you really want to work just isn't working. And so my advice would just be patient. Like keep looking, and maybe you need to change how you're looking. Maybe you need to start more conversations. We talked about seller finance. Maybe you need to have more conversation about seller finance. Maybe you need to start doing mailers or even cold calling or even, God forbid, door knocking. That's actually how I found my first deal. But at the same time, like do what's right for your portfolio. Don't ever buy something because you feel like you should. Like, yeah, I'd love to buy something else here in Kansas City. I haven't bought anything in a few months, and me and my friends, we text, we're like, it's been 82 days since I've bought something. We're like, send help. And so sometimes I feel pressure to keep buying, because if I'm going to like travel and talk to investors and give presentations, I feel a lot of pressure to keep buying. But I had to make a choice about my mental health. I was like, because I don't just add a unit and then have a property manager manage it. Like I manage it. I do renovations. I do furnishings. I have to do every tenant turnover in between every medium term tenant. So at some point you just have to choose what's right for you. And so if you can't make something work in Jacksonville, I wouldn't sweat it.
Okay.
And don't let it slow you down on buying in the other markets. Because that's what happened to me is I was so focused on Kansas City that I was like, no, I'm not ready to look in Omaha. I'm not ready to look in Omaha. And then finally I was like, okay, I need to buy something. And I wanted to buy something like, I wanted to be under contract in like 30 days.
Okay.
And I did it.
Okay. Okay. That gave me my answer. So no stress. No stress.
Yeah.
Tallahassee it is. Do we have any other questions?
Oh, I hadn't even looked at participants. We've had a lot of people join since we started.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I told you we might have some people come a little later.
Excellent. Excellent. Any other questions, you guys? I'm a complete open book.
Literally, she is. Anything I ask her, she goes, tell me everything.
I just had that one, I think I put it in the chat, but it was about cash flow. What is your like amount, the minimum amount that you will accept for cash flow per door? Or what do you prefer? Or when do you keep looking, and when do you just say, okay, I'm done with that?
It's definitely gone down in the last couple of months. So like it used to be that I was only excited about a couple $100. And now I would be open to buying something that had closer to $100, maybe even $85 a door. Just because you see, I mean, when you type in a calculator, the difference between a 4% interest and a 7.5% interest, I mean, it just kills your cash flow. So you need to decide is, do I want this property in my portfolio? And is it better to buy it now, December 21st, 2022, and get it under contract, even if I have to pay 7.5% interest, and even if it only cash flows $80 a month, because I want this property at this price? Because I know there's a lot of talk about prices coming down, but I just don't see it. I don't think that we're going to see prices come down on our stuff, like stuff that investors are buying. Are we going to see prices come down on the brand new build that someone shouldn't be moving into anyway? I think so. I do think prices will come down on that kind of stuff. But I don't think like these dinky duplexes that I'm buying, they're not going to get that much cheaper. And so I would rather buy it now when there's less competition. There are so many investors sitting on the sideline right now. I would rather buy something and be okay with less cash flow for the next probably 18 months. And then the moment rates come down, I'm refinancing. But you need to decide, does that work for you? Because if you, let me just use an example. So my friend Sarah, her name is also Sarah, she makes a lot of money. And so it's easy for her to replenish her savings a lot faster than my friend Sylvia. So because Sylvia's not working right now, Sylvia's full-time real estate investor. And when you become a full-time real estate investor, whew, your income is small. You have a lot more time and energy to focus on your portfolio. So your net worth goes up a lot. But guess what, you guys? My net worth is not paying my bills. It's not paying for a manicure.
Yeah.
My nails are terrible. Like, and so you needed to decide what's right for you. If I was buying a house in Austin, Texas, I may even be okay with breaking even and not cash flowing at all because I believe in that market and I believe in the appreciation of that market. If I was using 100% of someone else's money, I might be okay with barely cash flowing because again, it's not my money. So every situation is going to be different. I would not be excited about using 25% down conventional in my name with all my money and breaking even. That wouldn't be very exciting.
Thank
But
you.
there's
That's really helpful.
Yeah, but
For
there's
sure.
a lot less cash flow, you guys. Like it is not 2019 anymore. And so the deals are not as sweet and I'm still looking. I plan on buying a lot of real estate in 2023. I have systems down. I have a team. I'm not scared to self-manage more units now.
That's awesome. I feel like it's such a great point about less competition between investors at the moment and going forward for a bit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a really good point.
Yeah, my friend Maddie just went under contract on a 7-bedroom house that she's going to do as a short-term rental in Kansas City with my friend Maria as the agent. And Maria got her $13,000 of seller contributions. Maddie might need to bring $1,000 to the table as a down payment. Like,
Wow.
that's insane. Like, that's like
awesome.
2017 stuff. Like, it's really exciting for us.
I have a question, another newbie question. So the property that I have currently in Missouri is managed by a management company. For folks that are self-managing, how do you make sure that you find a tenant that is not gonna destroy your property, who's gonna pay the rent on time? Like, how are you like going about credit checks and all that vetting process?
Yeah. So I have done on my Kansas City property. I was living in Mexico at the time and I didn't want to deal with it. So I did pay a property management company just to do tenant placement. So that is an option. Since then, I haven't done it since. I've been finding my own tenants. So I found a tenant this summer. I had a long-term tenant like turnover, and I hired an agent to do the showings and just paid them, I don't remember, $25 an hour, $50 an hour. And then I went through screening. Yep. And I use Avail as well. And so I screened them. I did a credit check. I talked to 2 of her employers. I couldn't talk to her previous landlord because she had owned a house. She was going through a divorce. And so then I told her, okay, well then can I talk to an employer of yours? And I just got a really good feeling about her. I of course stalked her on Facebook. And she's been great.
Great, thank you so much. I'm a little technologically challenged, obviously getting myself unmuted.
No, you're doing great. I have a link for Avail. You get $50. I get $50. Hashtag ad. But I really do use Avail. I really like it.
I do too. I love it so much. Does anyone have any additional questions for Sarah?
No, I
Thank
don't
you
have a
all.
question, but I just
Yeah,
wanted
go
to say
ahead.
thank you so much. This was amazing. And I hope I get a response to my email. Just kidding.
You will. Both of my assistants are going out of town tomorrow. And so I told them, I was like, I want 0 inbox before you leave. And then next week, don't expect me to respond.
Okay. Got
I'm
it.
going to be,
email today.
I've been spoiled. I've been very spoiled. I have an amazing team. It's wild, you guys. Like, I was someone's assistant like not that long ago, and now I have a team. Like, it's really wild how all of this can change so quickly.
It is. It really is.
Power of real estate. Power of real estate. I'm doing things I never imagined possible. The other thing I don't think I mentioned in this presentation that I usually say is when I bought that first house, I was making $47,000
a year.
Oh yeah, that was my salary. And so
Okay.
I never made more than $60,000 from a salary.
Mhm.
And so like I'm not married, I'm very single. If you guys know anyone, send him my way. But I did all of this on my own, making less than $60,000.
Amazing.
Excellent. Excellent. Anyone have any other questions? Otherwise we can wrap up.
Jan, do you have any questions? I have to call on you.
No, I do not have any questions. I know I did jump on a little later than everyone, so no, it's fine. I'm just catching up.
I'll send the recording out.
Okay.
Excellent. Do you guys want a copy of my slides? Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Okay, I'll send those over. As well as the spreadsheet.
Yes, please. Yes.
And then if you guys have emailed me specifically for any contacts, I will send that as well.
Yes, ma'am. Well, if no one has any other questions, I am going to say thank you so much, Sarah, for doing this. This was so amazing and a great way to end 2022 for everyone, and hosting our last meetup for the year. So thank you. It was very valuable. I continue to learn so much more from you. So I'm so grateful and thankful for your time.
Oh, you're so welcome. I would love to come in person. So
Yes.
let's find a lender to put me on a plane.
Yes, I will.
And we'll do something in person. All right, you all. Thank you so much for being such a good audience. I always like to say thank you for showing up 100% for yourself and for everyone else in the group. Your questions really meant a lot to someone else in the group. So I'm glad you asked it. And then reach out anytime. I really do read all of my Instagram DMs, even though I've let go of my email inbox. So if you message me, I will read it. I would love to help you guys because I've had so many incredible women help me get to where I am and call me out on my shit when I'm not being brave. And so if you give me permission to call you out as well, I will do that. And you got this. I think you started off the call saying it really isn't that difficult. Like if you follow the steps, you can do this.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love it. Oh, sorry, I'm not on mute. Oh my God. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's the best way to end this.
Okay.
Thanks, Felicia.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Yasha. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye. Yay. Does anybody have any other questions? Thanks for coming, you guys.